Alright, guys, today we are gonna be reacting to Christian girl can articulate why men should get married. Let's jump in.
Do you agree with me that there's a difference between religious marriage and state marriage? Meaning you don't need the state to be married in a religious sense.
Yeah, because you're
So
married.
if a man wanted to be in a religious marriage with you and not a state marriage, would you have any objection to that?
I guess that would depend on like the content of it, because it's like, how are you gonna financially function with a partner if it's not legally?
What do you mean? The same way that everybody and their brother who's not married and cohabitates financially does this with their partner right this second, which is the overwhelming
Well, I've
majority
also
of
never been married, so I don't know the full extent of how that goes.
You can have a joint bank account with somebody who's
Yeah.
not
Oh,
your
okay.
spouse.
Joint, you can have all the same things. You have all the same things. There's just no state involved.
I guess no.
You wouldn't have any objection to that, right?
Interesting
No, 'cause it's holy
conversation.
matrimony.
Great. Well, then if that's the case, what if he says to you, all I want you to do is sign this contract that says that the state can never get involved in our marriage?
I thought a prenup is just that.
No, the answer to my question is, what if he asked you to just sign a contract that said the state can never be allowed in our marriage? We're married through the church instead. Would that be acceptable?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a prenup.
I thought a prenup was more of like just strictly financial.
You know, the prenup is saying we're not ever going to involve the state because we have now done away with all the conditionals that if this relationship does not work out, the state cannot come in and say A, B, and C, and D.
Oh.
This has already been litigated before there was ever a need to litigate it, right?
Well, then,
So
yeah,
if
that
it is
makes
true that you're
sense.
fine with a religious marriage, absent the state, and fine with signing a contract saying the state can never come in and litigate, then that means that you're fine with signing a prenup.
Okay, yeah. I guess my idea of a prenup was wrong, but yeah, that makes sense. Like, why wouldn't you? Because to me, it's like Brian said.
Well, you just answered your own question.
Yeah.
What do you mean, why wouldn't you? You're absolutely fine going into a religious marriage and exiting the state from it and signing a contract that the state can't get involved, then you're fine with a prenup.
Well, yeah, because I mean, if you're going into the marriage worried about money, then it's like, why are you getting married?
Right?
Oh, no,
yeah,
but she's
sign a
still
prenup,
objecting to
yeah.
the prenup.
No, I'm not.
No objection. Yeah.
What the hell?
Wait, you are still objecting to the prenup.
No, it makes sense to sign a prenup if you.
But you just said, well, why are you getting married then?
No, why would you be getting married with your sole focus is about money?
Yeah, so you object to the prenup.
No, I'm saying
So prenup fine, but also...
if you're objecting to a prenup, it's because you're worried about financial states.
the woman is objecting to it.
Right.
Oh,
So
okay.
she's so worried about money going into this marriage, and it's like, well, you guys work together in the marriage. And am I making sense?
Yeah, you're making sense.
Okay.
You had something.
Yeah, I just remember reading like this stat, and I don't know how accurate it is, but it's like 50% of marriages ending in divorce isn't accurate for like first-time marriages. The number's kind of skewed for people who've been married like 2 or 3 times,
Sure.
and those marriages usually end like, and so it kind of like skews the,
Sure, absolutely.
the data there. So
Sure. Is
I
there
think,
further...
yeah, I mean, just kind of like, I think there's maybe more reason to get married if you're getting married to the right person and it's your first time. Then there's a less.
Sure, there's less... If it's the first time getting married, there is a less of a risk,
Yeah.
suppose.
But also, like, if you have kids, I mean, I think it's better to be married.
Why?
I read in my, like, kids, it was like child development or something like that. And I don't know
so it's
why.
self-science?
Not
Not even a science? Okay, go ahead.
It's, well, I don't know. But I just read it in my child development class. And
Yeah.
it was just basically that people who come from a married household, like, have I don't know, they are more successful.
They can be. It's not a guarantee,
Not a
though.
guarantee, but it's like
Highly likely.
it's more likely that you will have a successful child if you are married.
Is it more likely you'll have a successful child, or is it that people who are married happen to have more successful children? Like, I don't think it causes it necessarily.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know for sure.
Was there something more that you had, or was that?
I mean, it was those two.
Okay. Yeah. I have to read this really quick. Legendary trash pans. I better get legendary status for this. Stop interrupting. Stop interrupting. Just stop. Okay.
That was from
Thank you, legendary Trash Panda. Really appreciate it. Okay, wait. So Nessa, going back to you, the marriage thing kind of started with you here. You said it was weird. Your friend kind of took over the conversation. Can you articulate why it's weird to not want to get married?
Well, for me, it's weird because I'm religious, and like, so coming from it from a secular point of view, obviously, I'm gonna think it's weird. Because for like Christians getting married.
So it's weird because you're religious, but coming from a secular point of view is weird. Can you guys help me with that one? It's weird. Did I understand correctly? It's weird because because she's religious, but it's weird as well because of secularism. Am I missing something here?
Married is like a really big deal. Like more of a big deal than it is secularly, I think. Because it's a commitment you make to God as well.
It's a blessing.
Is the
And it's
let me ask you
considered a
though,
blessing.
the state is the state religious?
The state, like California,
No, the state, the
state.
government.
the government, no.
Okay. So when you get divorced from your husband, does your religion oversee it, or does the state oversee your
Well,
divorce?
If you're married legally through the state, then the state would.
Which most people aren't,
Yeah.
even if they're religious. Yeah, so even if you're the most well-to-do Christian, both the partners are very pious and devout, and they adhere to the faith. In the event of a divorce, that kind of all goes out the window, even for religious people, because you will.
Eventually.
Your religion does not oversee your marriage. The state oversees your marriage. And also the problem with this, like whether you're traditional, conservative, religious, so the state presides over your marriage, not your biblical values. So when the woman is unhappy, she's going to go to the state.
Not God. She's not going to go to God. She's going to go to the state. And that's it. And whatever God says, she doesn't care. Because it's all about how she feels. And that's the problem, folks. It's... how can I say this? I think when it comes down to stuff like this, it's very hard to... How can I say this? Very hard to be in the side of a woman, right? Because they have overused this tactic, right? And because they overused it, it's very hard for us to even now say, you know what? I don't know if I can believe you. Of course, the state is just there to just benefit the woman, because they're not the ones that are earning more money. It's the man usually, so they need that money. So,
God.
She should go to God.
Right.
Well, she can go to God first, but when she inevitably perhaps seeks out the divorce, she's going to go to the state. She's going to go to attorney.
Yeah, we're just looking at enforcement. So the idea here is like you could morally be correct that everybody should go to the church for their marriage. I don't disagree with that. But who ultimately has the force in this scenario? It's not the church. You ever seen a church enforce any type of divorce ever? No, because they can't. So what you're left with is who's the enforcement arm? In this case, it's the state. So Ryan says, I don't want the state involved in my marriage, right? And I can't think of a single good fucking reason why he should. Not a single one. And I asked every woman who's ever come on whatever this question, why in the world would a secularist ever get married?
good
It
point.
is the dumbest decision in modernity I could ever think of. It's almost 100 for
It's because they want that ceremony and all that stuff that comes with it.
for a lot of the, well, okay, it's not almost 100%, but the likelihood that this is going to end badly is extraordinarily high. It's, if you ever were to ask somebody, would you get in an automobile that, 50% of them crash, they're not getting in the car. And it's like, why, if you're not a religious individual, if you don't believe in Christianity or Islam or something like this, why the fuck would you get married as a secularist? Man, it's beyond me. And so I'll ask this panel the same question I've asked every woman who's come on, whatever. Can any of you think of a good reason why a secularist man would ever want to get married in modernity? A single good reason.
If she can make cookies like Rachel Wilson.
Yeah, you
That
can
was
have
stupid.
the cookies without the marriage, right?
I feel like that's the problem with modernity, though. That's the reason we have so many broken people, because they come from broken homes, or lack of commitment, lack of responsibility, lack of.
I don't think that's even the, not even a 1% of what I think Andrew's trying to look here.
Have a broken home if you don't get married.
A lot of people have relationship or have kids outside of wedlock, and then when they decide they're done dating,
Yeah,
the
but
kids.
you're thinking about this from the Christian perspective. Think of it from the secularist perspective.
Well, that's what I said. I
The
said that's the,
secularist doesn't give a shit about abortion. The secularist doesn't give a shit about any of these things. From a secularist standpoint, if they impregnate a woman, and it's a secularist woman they impregnate, she just goes and gets an abortion. They don't have to deal with any of the fallout from any of this, right? Why in the world would they ever get married?
Well,
Why? They could just give the same. In fact, couldn't a secularist just make the declaration, we are now married, and they would be? Like, what's the governing authority here?
You had something, Nessa? Go ahead.
well, yeah, I was gonna say, like, yeah, that makes sense, because marriage is, in a sense, religious, because God created marriage. So, like, if you're someone that doesn't believe in God or follow Him, why would you follow something
But
like
I
that?
think there's actually enough, even for religious men, Christian men, simply by virtue of the state's involvement. I think that's enough
Yep.
justification to be hesitant, even as a religious man,
I agree.
when it comes to
It
marriage.
is. Well, it is.
I
I
would
mean, even
say-
that it is.
It is.
would-
Good
That's
point.
why you
point.
see the secularists rage against me for saying that there should be an ecclesiastical authority over marriage instead of a state authority. They get so enraged they can't see straight because so you're going to allow the church to interfere in people's personal lives? It's like, as opposed to the state, what makes the state better qualified to do this?
That's a
well, I
good
guess
point.
because the church isn't God. God is the ultimate authority. So that, I guess.
But then you go and divorce the guy, and you act the state instead of God. You see what I'm saying? Very, very sneaky, right? Very sneaky argument.
Yeah, when was the last time you saw God come down and stop
Well-
the state from coming in and enforcing a divorce?
There
I
we go.
guess- I mean, obviously not, but God has his
Obviously
ways.
not.
God has his ways of doing things
Nah.
through other forms, and
Yeah, listen,
guess
I agree with
to
you.
say
Listen,
that-
I agree that the Lord works in mysterious ways, but the state is not a mystery. And divorce is not a mystery, and the fact that most of these marriages end in divorce, that's no big mystery
Yep.
either. And the truth is that most people are setting themselves up for failure in modernity, getting married, absent in some type of religious conviction from the woman they're getting married to.
100%.
And authority from a church community which assists in marital problems. They're almost always setting themselves up for failure. The state can't offer any of those things and doesn't. So from a secularist perspective, what the fuck is the point of them getting married at all?
then
Like, what is the actual point?
what's the point of dating if dating is based off of the structure of marriage?
What?
We get
Well,
dating.
well, I don't think they
dating
believe it
is
is.
marriage without the actual full commitment. You do all the things married people do.
Why couldn't you have the same
What?
commitment?
Say that again.
Why couldn't a secularist have the same commitment? Why couldn't a secularist woman and a secularist man just declare that they're married and they would be?
Well, why don't they?
They do. They do. So many secularists are like, nope, not doing the marriage thing, but I'll commit to you for the rest of my life.
I guess I've never.
Wait, what's the point of dating? I mean, recreational sex, procreational
No,
sex,
I'm
having a partner.
saying why call it dating if you're getting the entire structure of dating from the structure of marriage, just without calling it that.
Well, okay, so I don't think that they consider, when you say the structure of marriage, a Christian marriage, are you saying that when Christians date, it's within the confines of the structure of marriage?
I call it courting because dating or courting would be leading to marriage without the physical interact or intimacy.
Why couldn't a secularist do the exact same thing?
Do they not? Do they do that?
Yeah. There's plenty of
they court
secularists
up
who will
until
do.
marriage.
Yeah, there's plenty of secularists who won't have sex until marriage.
So
For all sorts of different personal reasons, yeah.
when is the turnover for them if they don't call it marriage? They just say.
They do call it marriage.
But you just said.
They just don't call it marriage through the state. They say we're married, we're just not married through the state.
She's not accepting that fact. She's not accepting that, man. And she had a cross. I think she has a cross in her neck.
Wait, so okay, going back really quick, then I'll move things on. Why is it weird again?
What?
Why is it weird?
To not get married?
Yeah.
I mean, if that's what you want, I mean, I guess it's not weird. If you really don't want to get married, you don't have to.
Sure.
And
yeah.
like, but I was thinking, you were saying like, what's a secular reason to get married? It's just because, mostly if you want to have kids, I would think. If you don't plan on ever having kids and like,
Wait, okay,
and
well,
you're secular,
sure.
I'm sure there's no point to get married. But
Let's
like,
say I want to have 7 sons. Explain to me how marriage is going to facilitate that.
it's just like when you're married, your household is more likely to be stable than if you weren't. And kids need a stable household.
Okay, so I'm dating a woman. We love each other, etc. What changes before marriage? Like, what's the difference? What actually changes?
Like,
How does it
just a
become more
commitment.
stable?
because you're committed to each other.
What do you mean?
like,
She can go to
legally.
she can go to step into an attorney's office
Whoa,
the day
whoa,
after.
legally. So what changed is that there's now force.
Well, because if you're secular and you're not getting married religiously or legally, like how are you married?
Okay, we're not talking about that.
The
Well,
thing
hang on,
is, what
hang
is
on.
the
He's
definitive
asking this
Factor that
question.
makes it different.
Yeah.
Here's the
They're
question.
trying. They
he's
want to change the topic. You see how they do that? You notice that? You know how they're trying to change the topic? Man, these videos are good. It just show you clear female nature. I like this stuff, man. I love it. I love it. They trying to change the topic because it's getting ugly.
asking. He's saying they love each other, they adore each other, they want to be with each other forever and ever and ever again. What changes the day after they sign a marriage contract that suddenly makes them more stable?
Well, it's a label.
It's the label.
And
You
that's
can
what
have the
women
same
like
label absent the
labels.
contract.
Women like labels.
That's what they want. That's why they want
Yeah.
to be your
So,
girlfriend, and that's why they want to be
I'll
your wife.
even grant to you that women want to get married because they feel more secure. But you're talking, you need to make a compelling argument for why men should get
Yeah.
married.
Because it always go back of what the woman wants. It always go back to that because they just tend to personalize the arguments. Right? We still haven't heard the argument of why a man should get married. All right, we haven't. So let's
How
see.
you feel is not a compelling enough reason.
Did you want a secular point of view of that?
There we go. See, I'm
Yes.
telling you.
Well, if they know their woman wants to feel stable and that marrying her will make her feel
It's
that
all
way,
about the women. You see, it's all about the women. It's all about the woman itself. Has nothing to do with what the man wants.
why would you
But
marry
I can
her
just
to make her
reverse
happy?
this and say I would feel more stable if we didn't get married.
Yeah,
That
but like,
would just nullify it. Because if you guys don't
Exactly.
agree.
yeah, but if you don't agree, why would you even be together in the first
Well, you're
place?
asking why it's.
Well, she's gonna have to defer to me. Otherwise, I mean, if she keeps
Bro, I'm telling you, I don't think they have the answer. I don't think they have the answer. Marriage is for them. It's just basically about the wedding. They all care about the wedding. They all care about the picture. They all care about the cake. None of that says, well, maybe the guy or the man wants this. They have no idea. Wow. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you in the next one.